Okay. Hey guys, welcome back to Paint with Josh. Today we did a 10 by 20 inch landscape oriented canvas, far off mountains, bunch of forest in the distance, all kinds of trees. Fantastic. You're obviously excited about painting it. That's why you clicked on the link. So check the description down below. Find all the colors you need. Make sure you get your canvas nice and wet. Get ready to throw some paint on it. We're going to do it just like this. Hey guys, welcome back. All right, today we have Phthalo Blue, Alizarin Crimson, Midnight Black, and Titanium White on our 10 by 20 inch canvas. It's going to be fantastic. So you guys are watching this. It's Wednesday. We're actually painting it on a Saturday, and we're doing it on Instagram Live. So if you caught the live, thanks for watching. If not, you can watch it on Wednesday on youtube.com/paintwithjosh, right? So now we've already covered our canvas initially with our Artist Loft white acrylic gesso, just like that. We covered the canvas, let it dry, good long time, and then we used our Bob Ross liquid white oil paint. Looks just like that. And we've covered our canvas with that. This is going to allow it to stay nice and slick and wet and allow us to blend all of our colors together. So I want to have a lot of crazy clouds. We're not going to use a whole lot of paint, right? So let's get the smallest amount of blue on our brush, and maybe we just pop in just a little bit of blue, just like that. That's all we really need. Don't need a whole lot. Wipe the majority of that off because it's going to want to grow, or we can clean the brush. We can do whatever. But don't need a whole crazy amount, right? Take it like this, very lightly, blend it out. Blend, blend, blend. Wants to grow like crazy, so don't let it grow too far, right? We've got to have these little soft bits of cloud back there. And that is pretty much it. I'm going to take the rest, just kind of work it in along the bottom, just so we have a little bit of color underneath. Don't want to have too much paint on the canvas. And just like that, it's going to be nice and slick and wet, ready to go. So let's wash the brush off. We'll really start to blend it out. And then we'll get going. Now you want to have a clean, dry brush when you're going up here to do our blending, because all of that blue wants to blend together with the liquid white on the canvas. And that's going to allow it to change into all these different colors, different hues, and you can literally blend it until it goes away. We don't want to blend this guy too much because that's going to be the one blue spot in our sky that's kind of seed through all the rest of these clouds, right? So just get the smallest little amount. All we're really doing is just making it soft. We're going to take a little bit more of that blue. Maybe come in from the bottom like this, pull it across, right? You don't know how far, maybe a couple inches up the way of the canvas, right? Come over here, take this guy, pull him in this way, and we're leaving this little area white. We're not even going to touch that spot. Go up here, cover our sky. This nice little gorgeous sky we're about to paint. Always cover your sides up. It takes like 3 seconds to cover the sides, realistically. And it helps out with your buyer. They don't have to frame the canvas. They don't have to do anything. Right? A little bit of that soft blue up in here, just anywhere it wants to be, any old where, any old place. And all of a sudden you got a sky filled with white clouds. But that's not all we're going to do. No, that is not all we're going to do. We're going to make tons and tons of variations on those clouds. So we're going to get a small little amount of white. I'm going to pull that out like this. Going to come back in here into that blue section. Don't want to have too much paint, right? Don't want to cover all of that blue. If we cover all the blue, what was the point of putting it back there? Very small little strokes, just like this. Very small. Then we have this far away little cloud way back there. Right? Super simply and easily. Let's take a little bit of our black, just the smallest amount, a little bit of our white, and we're going to mix that up into this gray color. And that's going to stand out just slightly away from our white, right? We don't want it to be too dark, and we don't want it to be too light either. So you got to work back into it, mix it up. Remember, it's going to go lighter as we go onto the canvas. So that's about a good size amount of gray right there for me. Now we're going to come back down here, grab up our dark color fan brush. And maybe we'll come back, and let's say there's like a big old darker bit of grayish cloud back in here. Just a mess, right? That's all clouds are, just a mess. That's all they really are. A bunch of water vapor all spun up, all crazily like, right? Just take that and mix it together. But we're not over mixing it. We're not getting rid of all of those cool little shapes and shadows. You get those neat little bits of clouds. When you look at the clouds, it's not just pure white, right? You got all these different colors. And then you get to work with all those colors and make them look fantastic. A little bit more of our white paint onto our brush. Come up here, let's dab on a couple little bits, right? Just on the edge. Don't want to go too crazy. The more white paint you put up there, the more it's going to blend away, and it's all going to be the same color white. And that's not what we want, right? Far away little things. Just making little counterclockwise circles. up and down, all around, all over it until you get this little floater cloud that lives back there. Very cool little thing. Let's take a little bit more of that gray. Maybe there was a little bit, I don't know, there was the one that came down inside here. They don't have to connect, they don't have to do anything, right? Just a little mess. That's all we're really making. It's a little mess, and then you come in. So you literally can't mess it up, right? All we're doing is making messes around here. You cannot mess it up. Your mess is going to be cooler looking than my mess is when you try, right? Let's do a little bit of white back inside there, just so it's not all the same color. Just so we have a little bit of differences in color. And my screaming headache says, why are you doing a painting video right now? You should not be doing this. But it's okay. Let's see. Now, maybe there was a slightest little bit more of the blue color back from up here. And we can change our sky. Look, we can just start to blend it together. Just a little bit too white over there. Right, blend it in, bam, bam, bam. Don't even have to cover everything. The more little streaky bits we have, the more cool little things in our clouds. And we didn't connect. Right? We didn't connect those pieces. Now that empty space looks like a cloud that we had prepared, right? But we don't prepare around here at Paint with Josh. We don't like preparation. I do stuff all just right here. We've never painted a scene like this on our 10 by 20 inch canvas before. So we're going to do it right now and show you how to do it. Just like Bob Ross used to do, right? He had his show on PBS, right? But it was never a taped, it wasn't an edited thing. And he even says it in season 24, episode 11. He says there's no editing here. Like what you see is what happened. And that's how we painted the scene, and this is how we did it. And that's how I paint. And I'm pretty much the only painter that goes live consistently 2-3 times a week on all the different platforms and shows you guys, just like Bob Ross used to do, how to paint. And it's free. How about that? youtube.com/paintwithjosh. Free videos. Who does that? This guy does. That's right. This guy, right? Taking that white, dabbing it on, just going over our shadows just slightly, softly. Right? I never like them to be too bright white. So if they're ever too thick and bright white like that, I just continue to mix until they look better in my eyes. Right? Yours might look better a different way. Or it may look better if you did it this way, or if yours were darker or lighter or whatever. And that's the best part about painting is it doesn't have to look like mine. Yours is going to look totally different. And that's going to be fantastic. That's the best part about it, man. Literally the best part about it. Let's see. I think there's a little bit darker shadow up in here. Right? Kind of took over that cloud. Maybe it sits in front of this guy. Ooh, I like that, right? Let's get a little bit more of that color. And we'll come down in here with that darker color. Just kind of crisscrossing over all the rest of those clouds. And just like that, we're going to have an extra bit of depth, a little bit more darkness in this guy. He's a different color. That looks great. Right there, right? And that's just a shadow. You always got to tell yourself, that's just my shadow, right? We don't have to, we're going to come back and make it look like a cloud by adding our little bits of white. Or doing this. Or bouncing it in with our fan brush. Right? And coming back with our 1-inch and making it look different. And because it has that different color shadow back there behind it, it's going to stand out away from these other guys. Oof, man, that's a nice bit of cloud right there. That is a wicked looking sky. Wicked looking, right? We're not using so much paint that when we go over it, it's going to take and kind of spray that paint everywhere. And that's not what we want. We don't want to have it that thick. At least I don't. A little bit more black, a little bit more blue. Just mixing them up right here. And maybe down around the bottom of these guys, we can start to figure out where the base of those clouds are. Right? Pull it out to the side. Maybe pull it in, pull it out. Back and forth, just like that. Get this cool little base, the bottom of our cloud, way off in the distance. And it's okay that they're not a straight line, right? The clouds are never really super straight, so don't worry about it so much, right? Maybe this guy will add another little darker area of cloud to come in after him. Just chasing him down. Coming in after him. Just by making a mess, literally smushing it onto the canvas, mushing it, right? Getting it on there, and then we have all these different layers, different things going on in our sky. You can decide where you want your, horizon to be for where your mountains are going to come in. You can decide all that stuff, you know what I mean? But let's play around, let's have fun with the sky. That's the fun part about it. Those little bits of shadow, different just littlest things like that, right? And we come back in, and those will be one more little cool piece of detail that wasn't there before. Smallest little dabs. Different little dabs inside there. Go back, work it in, check it out, see what it looks like. Do you need to stop? Do you need to do more? What do you need to do? Do you need to go back and you know, blend it like that? What's going on? I love how over here we didn't even really paint the canvas at all. It's just that little bit of white over there. Softly blending it. Very cool. Very cool. Let's get a little bit more of those soft little bits of our clouds back there. Just way off in the distance. Popped way through that bit of cloud. Way back there. Just by going side to side very softly. There we go. There's some depth. Excellent. A little bit more of that darker shadowy color. And there's a little bit of a cloud back in there. A little shadow. That's all we need. Just a little shadow. Bam, bam, bam. Just change it up. Cool little things start to happen. Little things are happening. Ooh, that's great. Little puff right through the center back there. And with these guys, watch. You take them, you can pull them down if you want like a far off rainstorm. Pull it down like that. Never tell where the bottom of it is. Back there as it's raining, right? All sorts of things. We can come in, we can cut around, we can do anything we want to do on this canvas. It is our canvas, and we get to decide what's going to happen, right? Now, let's make a mountain. I love making mountains. There's so many shapes of a mountain you can do, so many different things. I always say, though, don't try to make it like a pyramid, right? And nobody wants a pyramidal mountain. It's a very beginner move, just the straight lines, just like a pyramid, right? So we're going to add a little hump and bump and have a little bit of fun with this guy. Add a little bit of white in here, thicken the paint up, and also kind of show us what color we're going to be working with, right? Wipe off our knife so it's nice and clean, sort of nice and clean. We're going to come back, scrape up some of that paint, and then we're going to decide where we want our mountain to be. What does our mountain look like? Where does it live? Does it come up in here? Ooh, that is a cool little bit of a mountain peak right there. Right? All scraggly and broken. Come down over that way. What's it going to do? Scrape up some of this paint. Maybe we'll throw it off to the side. Look, just by change, I mean, you can go up here. Change the angle of your knife. Changes the whole look of your little mountain peak. Or your pass, whatever's going on back here. It's fantastic. Let's say there's another guy that's connected to these guys. Maybe he pops up a little bit higher. Right? Nothing straight about it. Little humps, little bumps. That's what you want to have. It's fantastic. You got a whole little mountain range just like that. Now we get to go back and decide, what's our mountain range look like? Let's start over here, right? Take this guy. We'll pull him down. Maybe we'll start pulling him down this way. And you'll start to create little ridges in the mountain itself and start to bring it out towards us, right? Not just a 2D thing. We have to bring it out towards us. And the only way we're going to do that is by creating little ridges and little things where the light's going to hit differently, and there's going to be shadows, and there's going to be this, and there's going to be that. Maybe this guy comes down here, right? They all don't have to go the same way. You can pull one straight down or not pull on it very much at all. Do all sorts of stuff. You can take this guy, kind of bring him up in this little arc shape. Same with here. Pull him down. Maybe we got this little arc, this little valley in between the two of these guys, just by how we brushed it out, right? It looks round like that. And this guy, maybe he's got this bit off to the side over here. He comes down. There's a ridge. Who knows? Goes over here. All sorts of things you can do in your mind, right? Very cool. Very scraggly little peak. Now, the more and more we mix, the more it's going to want to grow. So we have to sort of be light with these little little crisscrosses, so it doesn't have to grow too far. Now we have this really cool little mountain range sitting back there, just like that. Now let's take up a little bit of our white, a little bit of our blue, mix that up. Don't want to have it be too blue, right? I grabbed way too much blue, so now we have to use more white in order to get it brighter. So go light on the blue. Let's use this guy down here. A little bit of the dark color, just to dull it down so it's not super sky blue. We're going to grab this up, and let's say all of our shadows go off to the side. Right? Take that guy, start to bounce it down, pulling it off to the side, letting the knife kind of grab whatever it wants. The canvas is going to take what it wants, and it's going to give us the rest. Right? So don't be worried about what's there, what's not. You can cover it, you can not, and yours can look fantastic. Right? A little bit more snow back in here. You start to pulling it side to side. Starts to line up with itself in there. You can start to see our little cavern growing, our little valley. very deep in the shadows down there around the bottom, right? They're very dark. Let's take a little bit of this guy. Maybe he's got some shadow on the back of him. Or maybe this guy goes straight down. Who knows? It's a very straight cliff right there. Maybe over here, we got a little bit of that. It comes down. Maybe it goes off to the side. You never know. Whatever it doesn't do, we can always cover up with our highlights. Right? A little bit of our snow there. Maybe a little underneath. Boom. Got a little shadowy island right here. Whole little floating mountain fortress in the sky. And that's just the low lights, right? Now we're going to come in, grab up some of that white, snake a little bit of that blue. Come over here, we'll make a new pile. And this is not going to be white, right? Because we've used that blue color. You can even see underneath the palette there. It's not a super bright white. Now, we're going to use this. We're going to come back in, and on the opposite side of those little blue shadowy areas, we're going to add a little bit of white. And that is going to accentuate where our light is coming from on our scene. Right? Maybe a little bit of that white snaked over onto the side, but not too much. You don't want to have it go crazy. Right? Just a little bit. Say maybe all this as we started to slide down into our valley, but then the other side remained in the shadow, right? Because we'd already laid our shadows down. Take our little white section over here, and we'll pull it this way. Start to go down that way. And you can just build your mountain out of nothing. It's fantastic. Right? Maybe a couple little bits just got lit up as we pulled straight down right there. Very sheer cliffs right there. Right over here, again, only covering about half the shadow that we put down. And that way it looks really cool when we start to lay it out. Just letting the knife take whatever, the canvas is going to pull it off of the knife however it wants to do it. So don't get mad, don't try to force it into places. Just let it pull down. You get these very cool little bits. But you got to have that blue in there, that little difference in color. That's what people are going to be looking for. They're going to go, where's the light side and where's the dark side of these mountains, right? You got to have one. You got to have a light and dark side. Maybe we come back here, shift it off just like that. Now we have these really cool little projections, but they need a little bit of shadow. So we'll take a little bit of that darkness, a little bit of the black, a little bit of the blue, pull it down underneath. Get these cool little things. Very cool. Love how that works out. And that's a little bit too much. There we go. We're going to have to mix this up. Just mess it up a little bit, just so it's not perfectly straight. See, bam. Whenever it's too thick on the knife, or some of the times you can go back, if you're good enough, and just don't mess it up too much, right? That's the key. Maybe we'll take some of it, drop it back in over here. Bam, bam, bam. Start to pull our knife off in a different direction. You create a whole new little thing. Very cool. All right, we're going to take our brush, very lightly, going the opposite direction of the way that we pulled our knife down. So if we went straight down, we need to go straight up. We went to the side, we need to go to the side. Went down this way, we need to go this way. You don't want to touch your whole mountain, right? It's gonna become very difficult. The higher and higher and higher you go, that's on you. But it makes it look a little bit further away, a little bit more, blurry off in the distance. Very cool, just like that. It's almost like a little piece of our mountain that got disconnected from the rest. These old brushes of mine, there we go. Very cool. And just as simply as that, you can have a very neat little mountainy scene. And we got a couple little bits that got lit up of the light through there. Just little steps, whatever they are. Ooh, we could do steps. That would be neat. We could do little steps going up the mountain, right? Be kind of cool. If we wanted to do it, we could. Or you don't have to. Up to you, right? Blend it in. Get these cool little things. Almost the implied little step back there. But if not, it's another little area of shadow. It's very cool. All right, let's take our brush. Let's use up some of that darker color that we have right here. We're going to, again, mix it with the white because I don't want to go too dark. All right, I'm going to mix it in. You can always go darker. It's very hard to go lighter. So mix it in over here. Nice and knife-like on our little fan brush. And maybe, who knows, off in the distance over here, maybe there was a couple little bits of tree. And these trees, they're very close to the color of the mountain itself back there, right? Because they're very, very, very far away. Now you can make them closer by making them darker, right? Or we can leave them back there, pop in a little bit of that fog that we like to do, right? Bounce it down, create our fog, mist it up. Now you have this little section of very, 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 very far away, soft little trees. And I love when I put the brush down in a giant pile of paint. Look at this. Gross. Thank you, paint table, for blessing me with this giant pile of paint that I set my brushes in. I appreciate it. I think that'll have to go into the bloopers, guys. All right. Now again, to make that look a little bit closer, we'll come back here, grab a little bit more of the darker color, mix it in. Doesn't have to be super dark, doesn't have to be crazy. Pop in a couple little things. All of a sudden it's starting to change. We're starting to see more little details in there. But it's not super dark black, right? That's not what we want. Don't want it to be the darkest. We want to save our dark blacks for the closer and closer and closer we get, if we decide to go that route, right? Maybe over here at the base of our mountain, we're going to take some bits of tree that were just like that, just like almost like little bushes. And if we can get them to come down a bit and up a bit, it may look like very, very, very far away trees back off there. Now you could turn this into water, you could turn it into another little bit of forest, you could do all sorts of stuff. I mean, back there you could do anything. You could have it be fog, you could have it be anything. Take this guy, swipe it up. All that does is push that little bit of paint down flat, right? Flatten it down, and then you can come in here with our fog. And you really gotta beat it up. Beat it up. All right, and that'll allow you to make that nice little foggy area. Like, where's the base of those? Where have they gone? You know what I mean? What happens back there? Very cool little thing. Very cool. Then you can come back in with another layer. And the darker and darker and darker and darker we go, the more it will change, right? Let's take this guy, instead of having water way back there, let's just have it be some fogginess. So we'll take the majority of the color, bring it down until it becomes light. It mixes with that color that's underneath. Pull it up like that. Got a very cool little bit of forest back there. Very cool. Doesn't even have to go to the side. We're going to finish the side with other things. I love doing little limited palette paintings like this. They're so much fun. Get a little bit of the crimson, a little bit of the blue. We're going to make a little different, darker color out of these guys, a little purpley color. Grab some of that black. All right, really have it on there. And who knows, maybe we'll have another little section of our trees come in from off back here. You want to load the brush up though, so it's dropping, you know, very sharp little trees. Not these little far away, you know, blunt trees back here that don't have any tip tops to them. We want ours to have some tip tops. So, a lot of paint on the brush. Don't want to go too far, don't want to cover up too much of the other paintings that are behind it, right? The other bits of forest that are back there. And you don't want to leave too much of our light blue kind of fogginess back there either. Right, just like that. Crisscross back and forth across our whole scene. Do whatever we want to do. Come back, fog it all up. Right, just like that. Take the bottom, really giving it some business though. Giving it the biz. There we go, now we can see them. Now we have all these sorts of trees back in the distance, far away. And they're coming towards us. The darker and darker and darker they get, the darker, the more and more and more they're coming towards us, right? Just like that. You don't need to go down all the way. Why? Because we're going to make our fog. We need it to be light down here. We don't need it to be super dark. We can always add another little section of forest. We can do whatever we want, right? Take our bottom just like we did the other ones. And even if you don't continue down with your trees, anything you add in the foreground with this fog is going to give you distance. It's going to be very cool. Very, very cool. Far away things, all these little different colors. Even though we're using all the same colors, we're using them slightly differently, and that way you get all of these little differences in color. I mean, I say it all the time, do I not? I do try to say it. Let's see, I'm going to finish the sides over here. Every time we go, and then I forget, and I got to go back and do it afterwards, and it's just more painful. So, just like that. Let's finish the side on this guy. And then we'll get back to it. Where are we gonna go with this? Where are we gonna go? Are we gonna do some big trees in the front? Should we do this? Should we do that? What can we do in order to make it look how we wanna make it look? Very softly back there, just to make it even softer. All right, I say we could do a whole nother little section of forest, kind of cutting down in front of these guys, and then we can really worry about our foreground. So let's see, this guy's gonna have to be dark. So using our blues, our black, our crimson to make the darkest thing we can. And then we're gonna come in and we're gonna sort of layer it a little thicker than we did before, which just means going back, getting more paint, coming back up, having it be just a little darker, a little thicker than it was before. That's all we need to do. All right, and then when we take it and kind of push it upwards, all those little guys are gonna flatten down. Right, really right here where you're coming in, you have to decide, you gotta stay in that little area of fog, right? You don't wanna go too far up, then they're gonna blend in with that dark color back there, and then it's not gonna look right. Let's see, we had a couple come in. You may only be able to see the tip tops of these guys, but that's how we want it. We don't need to cover our whole scene, right? With all these trees, look at all that distance back there. So much depth and distance, and because we're loading it thicker down here in the bottom, they stay nice and dark, right? Just like that, very cool. And it's all the same color, guys. It's nothing different. I'm not using separate colors versus what you're using. All right, I told you what we had, that's what we got, and we can still create all this depth, even with just these limited amount of colors that we use. Very simply and easily done. Just like that. Man, those are gorgeous, and they're very close, right? So you could make these ones very dark if you didn't want to do anything else, but I think we're going to add a few little trees. So let's continue to load up that brush, pulling it down just like this so we have this knife-like edge on it. All right, then we're going to come up here, we're going to decide, maybe our guy's about that big. Pulling it down to the edge, come up here, kind of bounce it up, start to kind of bounce back and forth, getting a little bit wider each time. And all of a sudden you have a cool little bit of a tree back there, right? Doesn't have to be symmetrical, doesn't have to even look anything but a mess, right? That's all it has to do. Don't go too wide around the bottom though. Keep them nice and skinny, little skinny trees. A little bit more of our black and blue over here. Maybe we had another guy, or we had a different kind of a tree. Maybe he came down like this. Just like that, right? But the more and more and more we come down, the harder we have to push, giving him a little bit of a tree trunk. Extending our bristles outwards, giving him a little bit of a trunk. All right, come back in, load it up again. I like these guys. Maybe we'll do another one right here. And you got to forget about anything that's back there. Can't worry about what we've already done back behind us, right? We're focused on what we're doing in the front. It's all most people are going to look at is what's in the foreground. All right, and then if they really appreciate art, then they're going to go back and look and see how many layers we've done, and this, that, and the other, right? Really cool. Don't even have to be the same height if you don't want them to be. I totally get it. Let's put one right in the center of this little crease, but not dead center. Got to make him taller than the mountains, so he seems closer to us than the mountains are. All right, come back in very lightly, popping up, popping out, starting to use just the corner of the brush. All right, so it's very thin at the top, and then the more and more we pop out to the side, the more of the whole brush we're using, right? Again, come back up, scoop up that paint. It's crazy, it wants to spread out so thin on our palettes, right? Scooping it up, loading it in, blocking out every other little piece of color that's back there or anything. You don't need any of that stuff, you really don't. Come in again, a little bit more blue, black, crimson, all three on the brush all at once. And who knows, maybe there's another little guy. He's like all the way from the top though, coming in like that. Very cool, right? You decide where you want these to come from. The best part about these really thin canvases is that you can make giant trees, I mean humongous old trees, from the very top to the very bottom of the canvas. And I am not even messing around, you could do it. It has been done before, and you could be the first to do it today. Right? Really load up that brush, get it nice and thick, Start to pop it out in different places, right? Leaving little areas. You don't have to cover it all. Right? Little areas of openness, blocking out the rest. Pop down, pop out, pop in, pop backwards. You got this very cool little filled in little bit of a tree back here. And very textured, that's the key. Gotta have it be thick and textured. All right, let's do a whole nother thing. Maybe this guy's much bigger though. Pop in a whole big bit of tree, just like that. There's your bravery test right there. The whole width of the fan brush. That pushes everything else back, deep, deep back. There we go. Again, we saved some of our mountain, so we can play around with that. Now we have all these trees at different depths and different things. Now we can go back and highlight all these little guys. Right? Maybe there was like a little, I don't know. There was a little guy right here. Just because he looks lonely. Looks like these other guys need a little companion right here. So we'll pop in this little guy. Bam. Got a cool little forest way off the distance, up top of some overlook. Who knows where we are. Now we can wash this brush off. We can go back and we can start to highlight it. And everything's going to be so great. How long have we been even filming for is the question. I get going in these things and I don't even know how long we've been going. Let's see. That's going to be a cool scene. Very, very, very cool scene. About a half hour. Not too bad. Not too bad. Might as well take this chance to wash our brush. Just talk about going to my Etsy store, paintwithjosh.etsy.com. You can get all this stuff that we have. All the paintings that are available. The prints, the hats, the clothing, all the merchandise, all this stuff. You can get from paintwithjosh.etsy.com. You're buying it from me through Etsy.com. Paintwithjosh.etsy.com. Coming at you, paintwithjosh.etsy.com. Top 40 hits. No. All right, let's see. Gonna dab off our brushes. Always trying to make them dry and clean. Very cool. Did we even use this one? I don't even think we did. I'll find out the hard way if we did use it. It'll be all hard tomorrow when I need to use it. All right. Now we're going to get out our micro fan brush, right? Because I like using a brush, you know, a bigger brush to create the shape, and then a smaller brush to add the details. Don't ask me why. It just seems easier to me when I do it that way. So a little bit of white, and why not into our little bit of blue over here? We'll do a couple different ones. A couple different color guys, right? Our liquid white is very liquidy, and it's very white. Imagine that. Right, so all this thin paint, the liquidy thin paint is going to stick to our thicker paint much easier. We come in here and just start popping in little bits, right? Staying on the right-hand side of our tree. And we don't even need to get all the bristles in there, right? Don't need to get them all. Look at how it changed the color of the brush though. So now we can go back in and just with that slightly duller color, create the rest of those little branches that don't all need to be highlit at once. Now we're going to take that, flip the brush over, right? Come in here, pop in a little bit on the top, and then start to, again, come back to the trees. They don't have to be fully high lit down around the bottom or anything, right? The more and more we push in, the more it's going to smush our little tree shape. So, less the better, right? And create those little bits, those little shadowy bits around the back. It just gives it a lot of depth. Even right up here in the foreground, we can create tons of depth. Gotta have a tree that looks 3D, right? You can't have a flat old tree. Who's living in a flat old tree? Let's come up here and grab a little bit more white with our liquid white. Come over here, maybe pop this guy, and then just start bouncing up, bouncing up. Just on the one side though, you don't have to cover the whole thing, right? And then once our brush is a little bit more dull, you can go back in and add more little details, add little differences. All right, let's come over to this guy. Go over here, start popping these guys up, right, all over these little trees, bouncing back and forth. It's about 3 or 4 bounces in different places throughout the tree to have it light up and be different. You know what I mean? You can always go over it just a couple times. The more you do, the more it's going to kind of just become all too white. So be careful. Be careful. Don't try to do them all at once. Go back, load your brush again, come back up, and then just start knocking them out, dropping them in. Just bouncing with our corner of our brush though. Just like that. Get these cool little bits that come down, live down here. We don't want to cover up everything. It can get darker as it goes down to the bottom. Very cool, just like that. Of our neat little bit of tree. See if we can't take any amount of this kind of grayish, lightish color and leave it on there just so we have a lighter side to our tree and a darker side. Wash this fan brush off now. I'm not going to need that cute little guy anymore. No longer shall your services be needed, senor. You are through. You have been canceled. A little bit of darkness coming up the top of that tree. Didn't like how white it was right there. Did not even like it. There we go. That's better in my mind. Fantastic. Fantastic, you guys. All right, well, let's finish sort of highlighting these trees. I think they need a couple arms. So let's give them some arms. Let's use this cool little micro liner brush today. Let's see if we can't get some neat little things to happen with this guy. It's kind of like a long, flat, square, but very skinny little guy as well. So let's see, maybe we can come out, start getting little, cool little things. That's cool. I like that shape. That's not too bad. Not too bad for an old liner brush. Right, neat little things, neat little bits that start happening. All based on the angles. Tells us which way it's going, right? Which way is it going? Let's do another one up here. That's all we really need. Don't have to go all the way down to the bottom. You can if you want, if you're brave and you want to put a big old branch down in here and go through all that thick white snow. You can fight it. It is possible to get it done, but I don't recommend it because it's hard going over all the top of that thick white area where we had all that snow before. So, more difficult than if you stay in these areas where it's a little bit nicer, less paint to kind of go over, less things are happening, see what I mean? And it's easier. And we want it to be easy for you. If it's not easy, then you're not going to continue to do it. You're not going to have fun. So, maybe one little branch, little guy off to the side. Just like that. That's all you really need. Dead serious. What do the kids say? Dead ass? That's me. Dead serious. That's all we really need. Poof, poof, poof. Let's put a couple bigger branches on this other guy. Right? Maybe these guys are a lot bigger, so we gotta push harder. Gotta be crazier as we go out. You can add foliage to this big one if you want to. You could. Nothing is gonna stop us from doing it. Look at that. Big old monster branch coming out of him. Right, maybe there's a guy over there. I don't want to mess with the pine trees too much because they're already so perfect. And then when we try to fight over the top of them, it's just not going to be good. I told you about trying to get over the top of all of that thick paint. It is not very fun. Even back in there, I can feel all that paint back there as you go over the top of it. Grab some of that and even highlight it with our guy right here. Poof, got a cool little bit of a tree. Very simply, very easily. Just like that. Very neat. All right, let's get rid of this old brush. Well, I guess it's brand new, first time we used it, but figuratively speaking, this old brush. And let's grab the palette knife. It's nice and simple. We can do a quick little easy one just from the paint that's already there. It's a little bit grayish, it's a little bit white. And maybe we'll come in onto our side over here and just kind of touch and pull over just so softly. And that's going to give us this little amount of our tree that's been kind of high lit with its light color, and then it's got its dark little shadow back underneath there. Very cool. Like frozen little bark. Right, all on the right side in this painting, all of our light is coming from the right. All the tree highlights are coming from the right. Look, it doesn't even have to be perfect. Doesn't even have to connect. We don't want it to be the same the same color. You want the bark to be different. At least I do. I want it to be much different. I don't want all the same. There we go. These guys are going to get a lot amount of a detail on there. You see, you can kind of pull to the side. So get our color up, grab it, pull it to the side at a kind of a round angle. And then we're going to come back with our other bit of color and we're going to mix them together, right? So they're going to look more realistic. Take that, take our darker color, come from the other side over here, and mix them back just about to the middle. Doesn't have to be too crazy, right? And then take this guy, start to go very lightly just over itself. Don't want to blend it all the way out. And it will start to change and look much more like a realistic looking tree bark. Look at that. Fantastic, you guys. Leave half of it, dark. You don't need it to be crazy bright up there. See if we can't get any little bit of snow to sit up here on top of our branches. Our biggest, thickest branches might have a little bit of snow up there. It's possible if they could get some snow to hang on these branches. Just like that. Very neatly done. Very sloppily. Right? Because that's all the snow is. It's hanging on for dear life. Where is it gonna, which side is gonna be highlit? Where is the snow gonna sit? Where is everything? Just like that. A little bit of a bright branch up the side right here. Maybe the smallest little bit of this guy had some light on him. And that's pretty much it. Just like that. Very cool little painting. Very cool little painting. Remember, we gotta have some darkness underneath all that bright. It's gotta be dark under there as well. So if you have to, go back, take your black, and start making it darker. There we go. Not everything has to be high lit perfectly, right? And that's the best part about painting. Nothing has to be perfect. Doesn't have to be the same. Nothing like that. Yours is going to be different from mine, which is going to be different from hers and theirs and his and ours and everyone else's. Just like that. Very cool. I like it. All right, well, guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for trying the paintings, for sharing, for commenting, for sending the love and the likes and the hearts and the little crazy things on TikTok that we don't even know what they are. So until we see you guys again on next time, I'm going to try to dry off. It gets so hot up here in the room. But, yeah, I hope you guys try this one. I hope you send it into Facebook.com/paintwithjosh or Instagram.com/paintwithjoshk. And I'm going to sit here and just wait to see them come through. They're so fantastic. There we go. Gotta put a little bit of color around the edge. Man, that looks cool. If I do say so myself. Let's see. Gotta finish this side real fast. And then again, I want to thank you for tuning in, for checking us out. Share us to your friends. Share us to your grandma. She'd probably like us. Your mom might like me. Share me to her. And we'll see if we can't get everybody in the world inside Paint with Josh's studio right here in fabulous Las Vegas. And see if we can't all just have fun and paint together, right? That's the goal, painting together, having fun with life. All right, guys, like I said, I want to thank you for tuning in, for all the love and the stars and the support. And shop in the Etsy store, paintwithjosh.etsy.com. Follow me on YouTube, youtube.com/paintwithjosh, facebook.com/paintwithjosh, TikTok and Instagram.com/paintwithjoshk. That's the only two that are different. So until we see you guys again next time, you guys take care, have the rest of a good day, and pow, get them out of here.